And we'll repeat a mantra which says that whatever state we're in now, pure or impure, by remembering the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead, we become pure, internally and externally. Please repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastan Gatopiva Yasmare Pundarikaksham Savabhya Abhyantara Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. And now the initiates will perform Achman, so please repeat after me. Take the spoon in your left hand and pour 3 drops in your right hand. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Sip the water. Om Narayanaaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. And again repeat. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastan Gatopiva Yasmare Pundarikaksham Savabhya Abhyantara Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Again Achman. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Those with the Bhagavatams, you can read it out loud now. Keep reading as we do the last Achman. Om Apavitra Pavitrava Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yasmare Pundarikaksham Savabhya Abhyantara Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Samyaprash? What? Do you have Brahma Samhitas? And now we'll recite sections of the Brahma Samhita. The Brahma Samhita was spoken by Lord Brahma after his revelation at the beginning of the universe. He had performed tapasya as he was instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Krishna revealed himself to him, and Brahma spoke these prayers. So please follow me. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakadasat Asukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kvanantam Aradindandalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamani Abhishesha Shobham Govinda Mari Purusham Dhammaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sarvalavalya Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govinda Mari Purusham Dhammaham Bhajami Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti Pashanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti Ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Madhulamama Bhaktau Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Pantastu Koti Shatarvatsara Sambragamyo Vayoradhapi Manaso Munipungavanam Sopyasti Yaprapadasimnya Vichintya Tattve Govindamari Purusham Hamaham Bhajami. Hikopya Saura Chaditum Jagaranda Kotim Yachchakti Rasti Jagaranda Chayaya Danta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yadbhava Bhavi Tadiyo Manujasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Shayanana Bhusha Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitaistu Vanti Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Patibhavitavis Tabirya Eva Nija Rupa Taya Kalabhi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sindhyanam Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anariradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Tisri Brahma Samhita Sampurnam Hari Om. Welcome, William and Whitney. We're happy you're here. Thank you very much for coming. What we were just reciting there were Sanskrit verses that are important to this line of teachings that have been passed down for many generations. And in the prayers themselves, there's a description of the Supreme Divine Source, Krishna. And it's, according to our tradition, the first created being in the universe named Brahma. And he has a revelation after prayer and deep meditation and austerity of that Supreme Being, Krishna. Then he composes these verses spontaneously and speaks them. There are many more that go with that, but these are traditional at an initiation ceremony because there's a way in which the transcendental sound vibration, which comes from the spiritual world, is passed down through a disciplic chain. And those who take initiation are receiving that same sound vibration because it's being presented in the same mood. It's received from one teacher to a student in the mood of self-surrender and offering oneself in selfless service to the Supreme. So first of all, I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all the acharyas before His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada who have passed this message down, and to all of you who have come here today, and all of you who are online from various places around the world. And thank you very much for coming for this very important event. When someone makes vows, it changes the world. Inexplicably, even though one individual may seem insignificant, when he or she makes a determination to take up a discipline that is authorized and which has the force of tradition behind it, it has an impact on the world. I've noticed myself that even when one person leaves this world, even if the person was seemingly insignificant, there's a great impact on the people around that person. Not only that, there are all kinds of implications financially. It takes years actually to reckon with one soul leaving this world. The impact of one person who has the determination to carry out a mission is also evident throughout history. Those who have developed a strong conviction in their heart that there's important work to be done in the realm of selfless service have impacted millions of people all over the world and have left a legacy that people try to follow. And today, your initiation is very similar. It's following the ideals that have been given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, have been exemplified by the great teachers throughout history who have practiced this mode of selfless service or bhakti. And this is also in the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Para Upakara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years ago. As in our tradition, it is said poetically that he appeared on the horizon of Gauda along with his counterpart, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, with a mission in mind to do good for the world, to give people an opportunity to realize the highest truth of life, which is that we're only passing through this world temporarily, that we're all parts of the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that ultimately that Supreme Truth is a person. He manifests himself in various categories, as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Varanti tat tat vavidas tat famyaj gyanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. The Supreme Absolute Truth reveals himself and is realized in three aspects, as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman is like the sun. The sun energy, which is all-pervading, nourishes the world. In fact, we notice during the winter solstice that a few less sun rays every day makes a difference in the world. The plants go to sleep. Everyone else wishes they could hibernate. The bears do hibernate. And when the spring comes and you see just minutes of sunlight every day, the plants come alive, the squirrels come out and start dancing. And people then feel joyful and celebrate spring. So Brahman is the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which we just sung about in the Brahma Samhita, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadandakoti. It's all pervading throughout all of creation, and it's the manifest energy of the Lord, the impersonal energy that maintains everything. Knowledge, according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, means to understand what our existential position is in this world. The body is called in the Bhagavad Gita a field, and we are residing within that field, and we can be the knowers of the field. Means that we're actually conscious living beings, but we're within a mechanical body. We're categorically different from the energy of this mind. And the Atma, or the soul within the body, can become not only aware of itself, but it can become aware of the fact that it resides within a body. In which case, such a person is called Kshetragya. Gya means it's cognate with the word know or knowledge in English. And it means to understand something, to be able to comprehend it. So those who are on the path of, or any spiritual path, in the Vedic context, are expected to know there's a difference between the Atma life support. This body, anyway, is being maintained by a higher authority. It's not me. I don't heal myself. It happens automatically. We can also understand the presence of Paramatma, or divine essence, who's residing within this body besides me, in the way that we receive intelligence and guidance. This is not some ultra supernatural phenomena that one observes only in a state of trance. But if you just use a little common sense and think about the ways in which we receive guidance through our intelligence. This, according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, when he says, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishno mataksmitir gyanam apohanam cha, is his evidence of his presence, or what Srila Prabhupada describes as the form direction of the super soul, or the supreme spirit within our body. So there's the body, which is called the kshetra, or field, and then there's the kshetragya, or the soul, the Atma, conscious living being, that's you. And that soul can become aware of its body, but I'm only aware of this body, I'm not aware of your body. However, the Paramatma is aware of everyone's bodies. He's all-pervading and omniscient and omnipotent. And realizing my relationship with that Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, is Krishna consciousness. And beyond that, there's our relationship with Krishna as Bhagavan. We'll note that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as we were speaking about Brahma earlier, first created being in the universe, who is given the task of doing the sub-creation. It's like a subcontractor. The energies are already created by the Supreme, but he's given the empowerment to create all the forms of the world and the various levels of energies that are necessary for the inhabitants who will be the souls. And before he leaves the presence of Krishna, whom he's praying to for the empowerment to do this task, Krishna says to him, Bhadram te, and he shakes his hand. There's nothing cooler than that. He says, basically, good luck, Brahma. I give you my blessings. Good luck with your service. So, the followers of Srimad Bhagavatam and of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, are after this relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one might then think, well, I've heard this before. Of course, every religious tradition in the world is after a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one form or another. So, in that sense, there's no difference. The only difference is in the details. Now, one may ask, where is God? And one may be directed to look at heaven. And this is like if you're very thirsty and you ask for water and someone says, there's water in that cloud. Help yourself. Similarly, one might say you can find God through meditation. Of course, as described in the original Vedic literatures, yogis can meditate for thousands of years, and the subtle connection with the Supreme Personality of God then maybe becomes barely perceivable. And of course, in this age, who has thousands of years to meditate? This is like a thirsty person asking you for water, and you say, "There, it's in the ground, there's water down there, I know, you can dig a well." But the process of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who founded this Hare Krishna movement 500 years ago, was the doctrine of the power in the divine name of God. And he said that if you want to know God directly, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijab Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Nimayita Smanane Nakala. You can, at any time, in any place, make direct contact, have communion with the Supreme through chanting His names. And this is like having water in the palm of your hand. You can just drink it at any time. No flying in the sky, seeding the clouds, trying to get rain. No digging down into the earth, trying to find the water in the water table below. But simply directly contacting the Supreme by chanting the name of the Lord. And the mantra, which is revered and worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, contains 3 words, Hare, which comes from the word Hari, which is a name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's a very sweet name. It means He who takes away all your obstacles. And it's also a name for Hara, the Divine Mother, because the Lord manifests Himself in the features of Radha and Krishna, the Supreme Male and the Supreme Female. So, someone today will be watching, I guarantee you, a football game in order to find some satisfaction. And if your team wins, you may experience a little adulation for a few moments until the commentators come on and say, yeah, but can they do it again? Next year they're not going to have such and such and so, and I don't think they could do it again. It'll last about 5 seconds. And then you have the various other shop windows you can look at, looking at all kinds of objects that I think I can enjoy. When I was a kid, there was a little arcade game that I can remember dreaming about with a burning desire. I wanted it for Christmas. I didn't want anything else. And if I got it. And I was done with it about an hour later. And this, whether it's an hour or whether it's many years, there's a way in which the objects of our affection in this world come and go. People say, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then they say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I never want to see you again. The love that everybody has naturally in their heart is an aspect, eternal aspect, nature of the soul is to love. But where that love is reposed is the subject of Krishna consciousness. And that is that our love is perfectly reposed in Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can reciprocate our love. And that's the perfection of life. To give selflessly in love and to have it perfectly reciprocated, then there's complete happiness. So, through the process of chanting Hare Krishna, one can perfectly experience this. And why is there necessity then for initiation? Initiation is not necessary, as it's said in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, for chanting the holy name, because it's an open mantra. We go out on the street and chant it and say, here, take this mantra, you can chant it any time. However, when one does take initiation into the chanting of the holy name, there's a gesture of surrender towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It means that I need help, and that I'm taking shelter of you through your representative line of disciplic succession. The spiritual master, or the one who sits in this seat and takes the role of spiritual master, is like a postal carrier. And that means that the person may be an ordinary person, but because they've been given the task to carry the mail, and they're authorized by the U.S. government, they're a federal employee. And so you have to show respect for the government they work for and the task that they are carrying out, even though you may say, hey, wait a minute, I know you. You live 3 blocks away from me. But when that person has the postal uniform on and is carrying the mail, that is a task that is honorable, just as much as the one who carries the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead doesn't consider him or herself to be anything other than a servant of those who are taking initiation, but is playing an important role to offer a connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the disciplic succession. And the disciples who are taking shelter of the spiritual master then are giving their attention to Krishna and their desire for surrender through a local representative. And this is very practical because although we can understand Krishna is in his name and directly available, it's not that Krishna will give you some chastisement or instruction, or that you can directly speak to him immediately. But when you're in contact with the devotees, with the Vaishnavas, and especially with your spiritual master, then you have a sense of connectedness to Krishna through that line. Therefore, Krishna considers that those who surrender to a spiritual master and take the holy name under the direction of a Vaishnava are especially qualified to chant the holy name of the Lord. This is the opinion of Jiva Goswami, and also Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, who says that if you can take initiation in the chanting of the holy name from a Vaishnava guru, but you neglect to do that, then he said, then you're committing the third offense to the holy name, which is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So, there are several ways in which you can be effective in chanting the holy names, and we read about the first one this morning, which is to be careful about not committing offenses when chanting the holy name. And the first offense is to speak ill of those who are practicing the Krishna consciousness and teaching Krishna consciousness to others all over the world. One of my a senior Vaishnav from the Gaudiya Math once said that my religion is finding fault with myself, and that I have so much to work on in my own self. Why should I find fault in others? And this is the quintessential mood of those who know how to protect themselves from committing offenses, is to look inwardly and say, well, do I have any faults? Why should I find fault with others? So I hereby give you full permission to simply look for your own faults inwardly and to let the faults of others go by. Unless you're find yourself in management somehow. And in that case, you have to be very careful how you administer your criticism anyway, because people are not so fond of being corrected. So you have to be very gentle in the way you do it. Unless you're in that situation, then feel free to not engage at all in criticizing devotees. And another offense that is considered to be egregious is to neglect the rules and regulations of the process and think it doesn't matter because I'm chanting, and because chanting Hare Krishna purifies one, then I'll go on doing whatever I feel like and I'll get purified by the chanting. And this is a kind of cheating method that is especially detrimental in the practice of Krishna consciousness. So today each one of you will make individual vows, and you've already been following these vows for some time. And this is the process also that a spiritual master and disciple meet and make a determination to make this connection. And the spiritual master has to observe the disciple for at least a year, and the disciple must observe the spiritual master for at least that amount of time to see that the relationship is sound and that the person is actually qualified. So, in observing the three of you very carefully, I've become deeply impressed with your determination and your conviction in the process of Krishna consciousness. Each one of you has come to Krishna consciousness in your own way, but you've now come to this point of full determination. I've interviewed you carefully to find out what your motives are. You've been prodded and tested and looked at from many different, you've been given letters of recommendation from other people that know you in different aspects of your devotional life and so forth. And all three of you then are here today because you've moved yourselves forward by your determination and your effort to come to this point of initiation. And so the next part of the ceremony is that we're going to give you the 3 strands of beads around your neck. And these beads are from the sacred Tulsi plant. And go ahead, whoever's putting the beads on can assist them now. So those who are aspiring for initiation, they wear 2 strands of Tulsi beads. And those who have received initiation, they wear 3 strands of Tulsi beads. And you'll notice that when you wear Tulsi Mala and you walk around the earth, somebody's going to come up to you somewhere out of the blue and say, Haribol! And you may think, hey, nobody's watching me. I can do whatever I like. But you'll notice that when you're wearing these beads, you're showing yourself as a Vaishnav. And in the process of initiation, there are 5 stages. It's called Pancha Samskar. And the first is called Tapas, which means a natural turning away from the material world, realizing that the best of circumstances in this material world are wholly unfavorable for the soul. And the next is called Pondra, which means to begin to externally identify oneself as a Vaishnava. And one of the ways that we identify ourselves as Vaishnava is through the Vaishnava tilak, called Urva Pundra, and also by these Tulsi beads that we wear around the neck. And after that, one receives the Nama. And in Nama, it means that you make a vow to chant the holy name of the Lord a fixed number of times every day without fail. Is that your understanding also? Okay, good. And also, at the time of initiation, you change your name. So this name change is very much like the Federal Witness Protection Program. At that time, you get a new identity, new place of residence, so that the mob can't find you. And when you take initiation, you're basically starting over. This is called Dvija. Dvija in Sanskrit has 3 meanings. It means bird, because a bird takes birth twice. First the egg comes out, and then it pops out of the shell. And Dvija also means teeth, because teeth appear twice for some strange reason. I've never figured out why. And Dvija also means initiation, because you're born once from your parents, and then second birth means a spiritual birth, that you take initiation from a spiritual master. So that's your Dvija. So these are the workings of an initiation, and when you get your name, for men they get the name Das, and for women they get the name Dasi. And this is a very much coveted name because it means servant of God. And then you'll get a name of one of the names of Krishna. So Krishna Das, Govinda Das, these aren't any of them, so don't get excited. And this is another way in which we remember our eternal position as servitors of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after that comes mantra, which means after you've been steady in the process of chanting the holy names, following the regulative principles, serving and so forth, the Guru will award you the second initiation, which is a series of mantras, which are esoteric mantras, which are passed down through disciplic succession. They're not repeated outwardly, they're only for inward meditation. And finally, there's yaga, or worship of the deity. The deity is a manifestation of Krishna that we can see, as Krishna manifests through the material energy, because that's all we can see right now with our eyes, and gives us an opportunity to serve him directly. So, Pancha Samskar, and now you look beautiful with your tilak and your 3 strands of beads. And we're going to call each one of you up here. You'll offer your obeisances to your Guru. You'll say your vows. We'll give you your name and a certificate. And then you can go and offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and then to the deities. And before you do that, you'll hand your beads and certificate to Nirkula, so you're not holding them in your hand when you offer your obeisances. So somebody put an asan up here and bring a microphone. For the first initiate, who will be Bhakti Mac. If you please come up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Bhakti Mac, this is a heartfelt occasion for me, having known you for many years now, and also knowing how you've come to Krishna consciousness as an academic. Mac is a PhD scholar who teaches world religion. He's practiced Buddhism for many, many years and has become accomplished in many different disciplines. A serious person in all the practices that he applies himself to in life. And you've somehow or other, Krishna has captured your heart. And it's been an amazing journey watching you. I'd like a few of the devotees here who know and love you very much to say a few words before I ask you for your vows. I'll start with Nanda Murari Prabhu, because I know that he's been one of the devotees who's influenced you.
I was thinking, because Gurmaharaj, you asked me to say something, and Mac was getting to share, and I was just thinking a few minutes ago how the opportunity to be able to share Krishna consciousness is blissful for many reasons. But one of the main reasons I feel is that it's a self-purifying process, and so in whatever attempt to meet people and share Krishna consciousness, the type of benefit that we get from them. So Mac, I just feel very fortunate to know you and to have the privilege of being able to have a friendship with you and be a friend, and just the massive amount of humility that I experience from you in terms of all that you actually have accomplished and do know, and still just very humbly allowing me to serve in some capacity. So I'm very grateful.
And now, Tushta Prabhu, who is one of the attractive features of the Krishna conscious movement. People who meet Tushta, Krishna Prabhu, for those of you who are new here, he's the temple president here at New Badrik Ashram, and a saintly soul indeed who attracts others. Please just say a few words about Mac and your relationship and your realizations you have. You can sit here and face him that way.
Yeah, back in 2003, I was still a student monk, yeah. So I was traveling with the elderly monk Ganapati Swami, and we met Mac on campus. He came out of his class. One of his students received a book from us. He invited us to speak in his class. And since then, when I would go up to the university, we would meet regularly. And one thing I really appreciate throughout these last 15, 16 years, we don't see each other a lot, but the times that we have met, it's really helped me understand kind of my internal situation. In a spiritual culture, when one is doing outreach, there's this tendency, I've got something, and I may even be better than someone. And with Mac, it was nice because as I was connecting with him, I was just in mind that, am I having an agenda that I'm going to try to manipulate, or just, oh, is this person going to do what I'm doing? Versus just appreciating his friendship, the dignity he had. I remember we'd share each other's practices. We started at the same time, back in the early 90s. And he would share with me how he gets up at 2:30 in the morning, does his meditation, and then he trains for the Ironman, and goes teaches, and then he's spent time with the Yamabushi monks in Japan, traveled in India, disciple of the Dalai Lama. He's got a few other teachers. And I was like, wow, this person is so disciplined. And just appreciating my experience of his authenticity in him, his own personal discipline. And so just that principle of authenticity comes to my mind when I think of Mac and our connection. And then whenever he would introduce me to his students, he would say, this is my Dharma brother. Every year, twice a year, he invites me up to speak to his classes. I always end the class just informing the students how fortunate they are to have such a teacher as Mac in a university environment, that he's holding a space, not just academically, but I can see he's holding a space for them to embark upon their spiritual path. And quite a few students throughout the past 15 years I've seen have taken to this Bhakti Yoga, or at least just started to inquire about the self, the path of self-realization, and some actually take.
So now you can give the microphone back to Bhakti Mac. And please tell us which vows you will be keeping for the rest of your life. You're making here before Shri Radha Govinda, and all the devotees and your guru.
Thank you for the opportunity to do this. I vow to not engage in any illicit sexual activity, use intoxicants. I vow to not eat fish, eggs, or meat. And I vow not to gamble.
Okay, those are the things that you won't do. What's the one thing that you promise that you will do every day?
I vow to chant at least 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day.
Thank you very much. And normally I tell my disciples to please make a thorough study of Srila Prabhupada's books. Mac is already doing that. In fact, you started reading Prabhupada's books way before you decided that you were a devotee, and read them several times. And Tushna and I were talking about that on the way from the airport. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that Lord Brahma read the Vedas 3 times. The first time he heard karma, second time he heard jnana, and the third time he heard bhakti. So maybe you're on the same track. So it's very heartfelt. Our relationship is very meaningful to me. And watching how you've come to Krishna consciousness has given me more faith in the process and the power of Prabhupada's books, and also has made me appreciate you, your honesty in observing your own realizations. And I also, in this whole saga, have appreciated how it was Prabhupada's books who oriented you to everything, but it was Vishaka's a book called Harmony. It was a summary of the Bhagavad Gita related to nature that actually changed your heart. And when you read the section about the Atma, and you understood that you're actually an eternal entity that's part and parcel of Krishna, and that you have a relationship with movement as my life and soul, and depending on their mercy, the mercy of the previous acharyas and all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord who are like desire trees, I am exceedingly pleased to accept you as my disciple, and therefore a great disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and a member of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. May all the previous acharyas and the ocean of mercy, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, shower you with their grace. I hereby joyfully award you the name Makanchor Das. This is a certificate of proof of purchase. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Dr. Zach, would you please come up? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First, go take a blessing from your parents. You can just touch them on the head with your right hand. Very good. We're so appreciative that you're here for this. It makes all the difference in the world. Because really, the path of Vaishnavism is a path of cooperation and support. Nobody can individually break out of the atmosphere of the material world and become successful in developing a relationship with Krishna. It takes help from all sides, all hands on deck. And especially when your parents are rooting for you in such a heartfelt way, come all the way out here. And I've met you, Whitney, and you come from an extraordinary family, one that I can definitely relate to. And so we thank you very much. Your presence meant so much to this whole ceremony today. And Bhakti Zach, you're shot from a cannon, and you're noticeable because of your effulgence. Effulgence is something that you can't fake. It means that you have deep enthusiasm for devotional service. And since we started corresponding, I've been really impressed with the fact that you have this really deep conviction in Krishna consciousness and an enthusiasm to practice. So it's a very wonderful day that you're here making this next step. And whom among Bhakti Zach's colleagues would like to say something about his initiation today? Yes, Vinod. Vinod is the leader of the men's ashram here. He helps to organize everything, sort out any quarrels anybody has. He deserves a lot of respect and appreciation. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So I just want to share a little bit about the beginning, my first experience with Bhakti Zach. Not everyone would know, I think. We actually, somehow or other, we got arrangement to start a club at University of Denver. And so I had put one small ad out on the, university, or was it religious groups or something?
Religious clubs.
And so I get this message before classes even start from this boy Zach. And he said he was interested to come to the club, and so he came on the very first day, actually with his brother. And it was me and another student were there, just a few other students, small gathering. And it was a nice experience. And then he came back every week, I think throughout the school year, I missed maybe one or two. And just remained so steady. And over the years now, after seeing him, come through his processing and being convinced about Krishna consciousness, I just realized that Krishna made that whole arrangement. It seemed to me that he made that arrangement just so, Zach, because Zach was ready. And so it's just been very nice to see how, similar to Bhakti have been very sincere in your taking up of Krishna consciousness and very steady. And personally, I feel very grateful to have been able to be a part of your journey, and I hope to continue in that way. And definitely wishing you all the best in your devotional life.
Anyone else? Yes.
I just wanted to say that I think I cooked one Sunday piece here in Denver, and the very first one we cooked, I think told us that there were two people that wanted to come and help, and Zach was one of them, and Ryan was the other. And even that very first time meeting him, it was really dedicated to sincerely serving and learning, and then eventually he started working around the windows with us, and it was incredible because I felt like he already was like every step is a dance and every word is a song, because he was constantly like floating and singing around the kitchen. And it's just such a nice asset to the community and to the temple. And we're super excited to be here for this moment. And thank you for all the service for them.
Hare Krishna. I think Zach is one of those devotees. It doesn't matter where I am. If I'm downstairs, in the boga storage, or in the kitchen, or even in the walk-in, I'll see him. It's like, what one Zach. He's a bona fide multitasker, which as my wife will attest to, I'm not a multitasker. He's a wonderful Vaishnava. I think, without doubt, every day, without fail, I think I see him at like 4:08 every day in the morning. He's always in. He's always relishing. He's always reading and chanting. He's always effulgent. Wonderful. And it doesn't matter how much service you give him, he'll never say no. It's something like Ananda Mari, reminds me of Ananda Mari in the back in the early days, where he just doesn't say no. He just keeps piling it on, and he'll always smile. Which is, I'm going to break you one day, Prabhu. Thank you for being in the associations. I'm really grateful for being in the association.
Finally, Whitney and William, would you like to say any words?
Wow, I did not prepare.
We don't let people prepare. We like spontaneous here.
My son knows I'm never at a lack for words. He's taught me lots of things, like brevity. He texts me the word brevity often, and I say I'm trying. And then I spend 20 minutes telling him why I'm being brief. Zach was born in Santa Cruz, California. Here we go. And he was very large. He was almost 10 pounds. And he was my third child, and I worked for my midwife, and I had all these friends there, and I thought, this is going to be a breeze. Zach was very cozy, and so it was like 20 hours. And I had gone to a concert the night before with my midwife. She said, if he's not born by now, then you're coming with me to the concert. So we met, it was Ben Harper, who flipped over from the balcony. All my friends had their arms around my belly, sheltering Zach, who said, okay, I'm here to go. And I won't go too much longer about that whole thing, but it was a good entrance for Zach. And when he was born, they laid him on my chest, and he opened his eyes, and he looked at me. And every year on his birthday, until he's 90, he's going to hear this. Every birthday, Zach, what do I say that you said? I said to you when you came out. Zach, you came out! And because I had been chanting very diligently for 20 hours, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. So he came out, he looked in my eyes, and I fell in love. And this creature is teaching me so much about, I can't even tell you, he's my guru.
That's a tough act to follow. But I just wanted to say that I'm so happy to be here for all of you and for my son, Zach. Thank you. I always tell my friends that this kid's born with this peaceful energy. He's always been this beautiful Zen energy. And I've never known another baby, especially, to come to their parents and say, Father Zen, I'm going to bed. I'm like, what? You're going to bed? So we would just take him to bed at 8 o'clock. And he would lay on his pillow and I would close the door. And it was peaceful. Whether it's two siblings or not, it's peaceful. But
I just have to be here. I just feel the love. And yes, happy Sunday, everybody.
And now we'll hear from Zach. Thank you very much. That was really helpful.
I have so much more to say.
Okay. We'll have an after party. Zach, we all would like to know what vows you've come here to make today, and please express your determination.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So first, I would like to vow to chant a minimum of 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day on beats. Second, I would like to vow to follow the 4 regular principles, which first, no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Third, I would like to vow to make a very systematic and sincere study of Srila Prabhupada's books and lectures. And fourth, I will try my best to not criticize devotees.
Well, you did your homework. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. We'll take that microphone. Following the eternal principle of parampara, taking Srila Prabhupada's and Lord Chaitanya's order to expand the Sankirtan movement as my life and soul, and depending on their mercy, the mercy of the previous acharyas, and all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are like desire trees, I am exceedingly pleased to accept you as my disciple, and therefore a grand disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and a member of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. May all the previous acharyas and the ocean of mercy, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, shower you with their grace. I hereby joyfully award you the name Uddhava Sandesh Das. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhakti Daniel. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But Daniel, we're so proud of you, and it's been really wonderful that you've come here and just taken to the life of brahmacharya and the practice of devotional service with such heart and soul, and that you have so many well-wishers that are eager to see you succeed. And not the least of which is Madhuri Pura Prabhu, whose program in Delaware seems to be having quite an effect on the whole world. And since he's a little teary-eyed right now, let's catch him while we can.
You know, some people, it's like they came out of the room ready to be a Hare Krishna. And when I first met Dan at a kirtan, we were hosting in Delaware, it was hard to not notice him out of the group because of his smile. You know, we're all like, who is that guy? I never had travel with him now. He goes, who is that guy? You can't even look to him like he's so cool. And he was into yoga, and he liked the gods, but particularly Krishna. Krishna on the screen said, he showed us, he was like, yeah, man, I like this Krishna. He seems like he's... I was like, yep, you're in. He drank that Kool-Aid. I just feel so grateful to have the opportunity to have friends like Dan in my life that teach me what does it mean to be sensitive? What does it mean to be diligent in Krishna consciousness? And what to speak of everyone he meets. I've never met anyone that has spent any time with Dan that hasn't been completely changed. Or the normal reaction is like, wow, that guy, they'll come to me after like, God, like, where'd you find him? I'm like, Delaware! and it's just very encouraging that many people, they'll come and they'll say, you know, this person's really special. I see that person just changing the world. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to stay here to learn. And so I just feel deeply grateful. And his family he comes from is like fantastic. His sister and his mother, they come to the programs. And, well, you know, everyone he meets here goes, oh, Dan, these friends, everyone's just deeply grateful for you. Bhakti Ross asked me, I said, can we call him our son just because he's so innocent? He's so innocent. I just want to feed him. So we'll have him over for his offerings.
Anyone else? Yes, please, Prabhu.
I got the opportunity to pick Dan up from the airport when he was first coming to Denver. I remember I talked to Zach and the other people that were on the Yasha last year in February who met Dr. Dan, and they were both like, yeah, he has like such a nice smile and he's always really enthusiastic. And I was like, man, I'm most interested to see what Dr. Dan's like. And I pulled up to the airport and I with him on the phone. And my first impression of Dan was that he seemed so like, he was like, hey, Hare Krishna. I'm like, yeah, welcome to Project Ashram. But sharing with Bhakti Dan and getting to know him for the past like 9 or so months, Bhakti Dan is the embodiment of pure, sincere, gentle attitude. That he's the way he interacts with the devotees, the way he interacts with himself and people he's preaching to and sharing Krishna consciousness with them. He's very easy to talk to and very infectious with his joy and enthusiasm, and also his very grounded attitude. So grateful to have you here for both Hare Krishna.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that those who have practiced Krishna consciousness in previous lives then have a spontaneous attraction to practicing devotional service. And it's a great fortune that Srila Prabhupada took the trouble to set up an infrastructure so that everyone who's in that category, as you definitely are, can immediately take to the practice of Krishna consciousness without any obstacles. And it's been your choice to do that, and that's what the success of life is, using your free will to embrace
to chant a minimum of 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day. And I would also like to add that I want to vow to, as systematically as possible, study Srila Prabhupada's books for the rest of my life, and to listen to his lectures, and to do my very best to make it an art out of not criticizing devotees.
like that. Very nice. Thank you. So, Makan Shor, Prabhu, your name is a very intimate name of Krishna, as you may know. Makan means butter, and Shor means thief. So Krishna is known very affectionately in Vraja as the Makan Shor, the one who steals butter. He does so to charm his devotees. He goes to their homes and he steals butter from the pots and distributes it. So you have a Vrindavan name. Your name, Uddhava Sandesh, is one of the names of one of the important books written by Jiva Goswami. And I always like, these names that refer to a scripture. But it's also a name, Uddhava, and the Sandesh means the message that he delivers to the devotees in Vrindavan. And so it's a very also powerful name. The name is out of the Bhagavad Gita. And I'll tell you in a second. Following the eternal principle of parampara, taking Srila Prabhupada's and Lord Chaitanya's order to expand the Sankirtan movement as my life and soul, and depending on their mercy, the mercy of the previous acharyas, and all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are like desire trees, I am exceedingly pleased to accept you as my disciple, and therefore a grand disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and a member of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. May all the previous acharyas and the ocean of mercy, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, shower you with their grace. I hereby joyfully Rama Rama Hare Hare. So Dana Kriya is from the Bhagavad Gita, and it's Krishna's advice that one should continually, even if you're liberated, to give in charity. It means the highest charity that one can give is distributing knowledge of Krishna consciousness to others. So it's a befitting name for one become a soldier in the army of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do para upakara, do the highest good for others by giving dana, or the wealth of knowledge to as many people as possible. Hare Krishna. And now our esteemed head priest Tushta Prabhu will perform the fire ceremony, invoking the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the fire to consecrate the vows. We already did twice. Somebody. Should some empty plate and another plate with a few of those grains that they have on it. So we can offer from here. We'll just put it on the empty plates. One empty, 2 plates, one empty, one with some grains on it. He's doing kartas. Sorry.
Can I tell Nagor he can stop the...
I'd like to see the fire ceremony.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Huh?
First is yours.
If you'd like to move closer, you're welcome to.
What?
So every time I say swaha, then...
I don't know why they put wood.
Om
Ajnana Yasya Shalakaya Chakshur Unilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Swaha Swaha Swaha.
Every time still highs on.
Sri Chaitanya
Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Damayam Tadati Swapatantikam Swaha Swaha Eham Shri Guru Siyuta Varakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Bhagavatam Gitam Samsajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Vidishakanditamscha Swaha 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 Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Vaisheshikadas Adhikari Namine Swaha Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Santa Saraswati Namine Shivashavanari Devitaitaya Bhagdaye Krishna Sambandha Bhagave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadya Shirupanuga Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shurtaye Yatarine Rupanuga Yudhapa Siddhanta Vanta Arine Swaha 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 Namo Girushuraya Vairagya-murtaye Kalamba Sambhole Pujaya Namaha Swaha 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 Namaha Bhakti-vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Rayate Swaha 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 Paravibhava Umestam Nideshta Sachana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jaganataya Namaha Swaha 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 Rubhyascha Vasindhubhya Evacha Gitanam Manibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Swaha 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 Mahavalanyaya Krishna Prema Ayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Ganeshe Namaha Swaha 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 Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Swaha 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 Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Gopesha Gopikakanta